Here in the College of Education, you have a lot more chances of getting 1 or 2 scholarships. So I highly recommend it. Before I started in 2017, many of our scholarships were untouched. So that's why we have a lot of money right now funding. Um, I don't know if they weren't being promoted. I don't know what was happening, but I noticed that many of our scholarships we couldn't find enough applicants. And I started to promote, and working with the EICC to promote them. And now every scholarship gets funded, and I make sure that they do, because I want to make sure that that money goes into students' pockets, right? And so, yes, you know, are you going to compete against other students who are going to apply? Of course, but there's, more, you have a higher chance of getting a College of Ed scholarship than you do getting it from somewhere else. Okay. And then scholarships are dispersed in the fall, and that is anytime between August or October. So because these scholarships are for the fall 2021 and in spring 2022 academic year. Technically, scholarships can be awarded anytime during that academic year. Okay, but I work closely with financial aid to advocate that, so that this funding can get dispersed in the fall, and it does. It usually does. I make sure that the students receive the money as soon as possible, because I know that payments are due in August and September, October. And so, to help alleviate some of that financial burden or financial stress, I try to get this money into the recipients' pockets as early as August, if possible. But, there's a process. It can take 8 weeks after I submit a check request form, to financial aid and to the student business services office. It can take 8 weeks for it to disperse, but it'll get dispersed for sure. It'll just be anytime between August and October, between August to October. And then, one thing that financial aid does look is that, are you enrolled in that semester? So even though, let's say you're going to finish this year, this semester is your last semester, and you're going to graduate, so you won't be here for the next academic year. Technically, you won't qualify for the scholarships for, the upcoming year. But talk to me if you have a real financial emergency or you really need this funding to cover your spring semester. There is a way where I can work with financial aid to help kind of backtrack it a little bit. And, your scholarship, if it's awarded to you, can go back to spring. There's always flexibility there. It just takes, me working closely with financial aid to make that happen. But these scholarships are for the next academic year, so you must be enrolled in the fall semester. Now, these scholarships are open to new and returning students. So if you are an undergraduate student and you've applied to our credential program, you can apply to these scholarships, even if you haven't been admitted yet, even if you haven't been notified whether you've been admitted or not, you can still apply to our scholarships, okay? So don't worry about that at all. You just need to have an application in, because you need to have access to your student portal in order for you to be able to submit the online application and all the awards. I highlighted this piece in the PowerPoint presentation in this slide, that scholarship awards can offset your financial aid package. So I tell students, before you accept the scholarship, make sure you speak to your financial aid counselor, because what I've seen happen in the past is that whenever you've been awarded a scholarship, let's say for $2,000, that means $2,000 less from your financial aid award or financial aid package. Because ultimately what financial aid wants, the financial aid office, is for you to take on less debt. So if $2,000 that's coming in a scholarship format will help alleviate that, they'll just give you less financial aid. And this can be a real big problem for graduate students who are expecting to use this financial aid or their financial aid for living expenses, to buy books, to pay bills. Just make sure you talk to your financial aid counselor to make sure it doesn't offset it too much and it doesn't give you a lot less. So any type of scholarship or grant that you get that is considered free money and not student loans will throw off your financial aid package. And I've had a number of students who've had to say, I'm not going to accept the award after all because I need as much financial aid as possible because I'm using that to live off for now because I can't work during the credential program or during my programs. So just please be aware of that. And so here are some helpful tips. There's a lot of flexibility, like I mentioned. Just communicate with me. Let me know what your questions are. Let me know what your situation is. Let me know, what you need help with. I'm here to help you navigate this process so you don't do it alone. I want to make sure to make it as easy and as accessible to you, but there are requirements. So these letters of recommendation, like I said, can be written, right? You can have one from a couple years ago. You can have one from that's current. You can have one that is emailed to a recommender of yours. So there's flexibility there. I've even seen application files that come in that were missing a letter of recommendation. Really and I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm being like full transparent with you. The way that we're gonna get to know you and your story and your need is really through your essay. And that's really the focus. That's the highlight. Because we can look at your letters of recommendation, we can look at, your application, but really what's going to highlight and talk about you and your experiences and why you want to be an educator is through your scholarship essay. So I'm going to sit here and say, put a lot of energy into that. Okay. The GPA for most of these scholarships, there's not a GPA requirement. It says that, the requirement is that you're in good standing. That's open. For interpretation, obviously you can be on probation. So GPA, as long as you're not on probation, you're in good academic standing, you're fine. So there's not really a GPA requirement. So is it merit-based? Well, we have a holistic approach to the scholarship process. The committees do. They really want to find out like who you are and why you want to become an educator, your story, if you have a financial need, and really, how do you plan to use your credential or your degree to advance, education? That's really why, that's how we're really going to get to know you. So I say, focus on your scholarship application. I wouldn't write 5 or 6 scholarship essays, I wouldn't. I would use the same one and I would just change some talking points because some of the scholarships do require specific talking points. Some want to know how you're going to use just, equitable, and inclusive education in your classroom or in the office, when you're a counselor or an advisor or an administrator. They want to know how you're going to promote that. So maybe change, some of the talking points in your essay, but use the same one. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't overwhelm myself and write all these different ones, even if you use the same one, because it's relevant to multiple scholarships. That's okay. It's not like this scholarship committee is going to tell that scholarship committee, hey, this person wrote the same essay, they're using the same one, or not the same essay, they're using the same essay over and over again. That's not going to happen. So definitely take advantage of all this flexibility so that way you don't overwhelm yourself and you can apply to as many as you meet the criteria. Okay. And then demonstrate that you have a financial need. Demonstrate that through your essay. Really talk about your story and talk about where you're at today. If you're open and you feel comfortable sharing that information, I say do it, because that's how, there's some scholarships that do require that the student truly does have a financial need, because the donor really wants to help students out that are struggling financially. And so really explain yourself and really show, why it is that, you really need the scholarship and how this is going to help you finish and complete your studies and be successful. So my recommendation is to please read all the instructions, right, for each scholarship. Each one does have their own specific criteria. Some will say they require 1 letter rec. Some will say they require 3. Some will say they require an essay. Some don't. So just please look at all of that. Identify first which scholarships, you meet the criteria. highlight the ones that do, okay? And then go from there. Because like I said, when you open up the document, you're gonna see a lot of them. So sit down and just take a couple minutes to take a look and just highlight the ones that really, you feel like you meet the criteria. And then, read the descriptions carefully, because there's some for single parents, there's some for returning students, meaning students who've been out of school for a number of years. They really want to hear your story. The scholarship committee and the donor want to hear about, like you returning back to school and wanting to pursue a second career in education. I mean, there's different types of scholarships. So I say, please read all the instructions to make sure that you know exactly which scholarship you're applying to. And you don't apply for some scholarships that, are not, that they don't pertain to your subject area of study, or they don't pertain to, who you are as a student. There's some that are, like STEM related, for example, or special education or higher ed. So just please carefully look at all the criteria. And then, how do you apply? So there is an online scholarship application, okay? And so I tried getting like an image, but I couldn't. So you're gonna have to log in to your student portal. To your student portal, you're gonna go to the far left. And on the far left of the screen, you're gonna find a drop down menu. You're gonna click on that, and it's gonna take you to a list of items. You're gonna scroll all the way down because it's alphabetical until you find the scholarship button. Okay, it's gonna say scholarships. Click on that, and then it's gonna bring you to a list of different type of scholarships. These are Cal State Fullerton wide scholarship applications. Okay, sorry if this is a little confusing, but there's a Guardian Scholars scholarship on there, in that list, and then there's a Cal State Fullerton scholarship application. The Cal State Fullerton one is the one you want to click on. Okay, College of Education has their own scholarships. College of Business has their own scholarships, but everybody uses the same scholarship application. It's a one general one that the financial aid office has created and has given access to our students. Click on that one and start your scholarship application. When you get there, there's going to be an area section where you can upload your attachments. Now, it's limited to how many uploads you put in there. You can upload up to 5 attachments. If you run out of space, either you can condense it all and try to put it all in one document. Don't worry about what the scholarship committees are going to look at. I separate all of that. So I spend a month doing just scholarship stuff. Or you can email me and send me the attachments, and I can upload it and add it. I'm happy to do that for you. Like I said, whatever, to just help alleviate and make things easier for you. Okay. Do not submit your application until you are fully complete, like you've completed the entire thing and you've uploaded your attachments, unless you're going to email them to me, but try to upload as many as possible. Okay. And then you can apply to, like I said, to as many scholarships as possible. You can apply to 5, 6. I've had a student apply to 10. I had some students who applied to 2, and with those 2, they were able to fund their entire semester because they were big scholarships. It's up to you. Like I said, just look through and read the criteria really carefully to make sure that, that they apply to you and that you qualify and that you meet the criteria. Financial aid works very closely with me to determine, the student is enrolled, the recipient is enrolled, and just, like to get the money out to you. So once, let's say, I've submitted your check request for your scholarship, financial aid process it, the Student Business Center process it, the check will go directly into your financial aid account. If you are at a zero balance, that a check will be mailed to you, or it will be direct deposited to you if you have direct deposit set up. If you have an owing balance, that scholarship money will go towards that owing balance and try to pay off whatever, if you have, let's say, an owing balance of $500, but your scholarship is $1,000, then $500 of your $1,000 scholarship will go towards your tuition, and the other 500 will be directly deposited into your, to your personal checking or whatever it is that you have set up, or a check will be mailed out to you. I hope that makes sense, because I know students always have questions about that.